Some songwriters chase the spotlight. Tom Waits never seemed interested in it. With his unmistakable gravelly voice and unconventional style, Waits built a career unlike anyone else in music. But hidden behind that legendary catalog is another remarkable story, one that many fans never discover. Over the years, Tom Waits quietly wrote songs that found new life through other artists. In some cases, those recordings became career highlights. In others, they helped redefine an artist's legacy. Many listeners fell in love with these songs without ever realizing who had written them. Today, we're counting down 6 incredible songs Tom Waits gave away or shared with other artists, and why each one became unforgettable. Let's begin. Number 6. It Rains on Me, Chuck E. Weiss. Not every great songwriter gives away songs to chart-topping superstars. Sometimes they write for lifelong friends. That was exactly the case with Chuck E. Weiss. Long before either man became well-known, Tom Waits and Chuck E. Weiss were wandering through the American music scene together. They shared late-night conversations, smoky clubs, cheap motel rooms, and an endless love for blues, jazz, and storytelling. Their friendship stretched back decades and survived every twist their careers took. Unlike Waits, Weiss never became a household name. But among musicians in Los Angeles, he was considered something of a legend. People respected him because he lived the music rather than chasing fame. When Weiss finally released the album Extremely Cool in 1999, Tom Waits didn't just contribute a song, he became deeply involved in the entire project. Alongside Kathleen Brennan, Waits helped produce the record and even shared vocals on several tracks. One of the standout moments was It Rains on Me. The song feels like classic Tom Waits. Dark, bluesy, full of worn-down emotion, but hearing the two old friends perform together gives it an entirely different meaning. It isn't simply a collaboration. It's the sound of decades of friendship echoing through every lyric. Years later, Waits would record his own version, but many fans still believe the original duet captures something impossible to recreate. Sometimes the greatest songs aren't about commercial success. Sometimes they're simply gifts between lifelong friends. Number 5. Rainbow Sleeves, Rickie Lee Jones. Love stories rarely end the way songs do. Sometimes the song outlives the romance. In the late 1970s, Tom Waits met singer-songwriter Rickie Lee Jones, and the connection between them was immediate. They became one of Los Angeles' most fascinating musical couples, sharing dreams, late-night adventures, and creative inspiration. During those years, Waits wrote a delicate ballad unlike almost anything else in his catalog. It was called Rainbow Sleeves. Instead of keeping it for himself, he handed it to Rickie Lee Jones. That decision says everything about the song. Waits understood that some songs belong to someone else's voice. Jones recorded it with lush orchestral arrangements, transforming the composition into one of the most haunting performances of her career. While Waits was known for smoky bars and broken dreamers, Rainbow Sleeves revealed an unexpected tenderness hidden beneath his rough exterior. But what makes the story even more emotional is what happened afterward. The relationship eventually ended. Both artists moved on with their lives, but the memories remained. When Rickie Lee Jones released her acclaimed album Pirates, listeners noticed a touching lyrical reference to Rainbow Sleeves, a subtle reminder of the love they once shared. Years later, Tom Waits finally recorded his own version, allowing fans to hear the song through the voice that originally created it. But by then, the song had already become part of another person's story. Sometimes a songwriter gives away more than a melody. Sometimes they give away a piece of their heart. Those first 2 songs reveal something fascinating about Tom Waits. He never treated songwriting like ownership. He treated it like finding the perfect home for every story. And as you'll soon discover, some of his greatest songs would eventually reach millions of listeners through voices completely different from his own. Coming up, we'll look at the haunting ballad that helped Marianne Faithfull rebuild her career, and the unforgettable hit that transformed one of Tom Waits' most unusual compositions into an international success. Number 4. Strange Weather, Marianne Faithfull. By the mid-1980s, Marianne Faithfull had lived through more than most artists experience in an entire lifetime. She had gone from being one of the brightest stars of the British music scene to battling addiction, personal loss, and years of hardship. Many believed her best days were behind her. Then Tom Waits and his wife, Kathleen Brennan, stepped in, not with advice, but with a song. After spending time talking with Faithfull and hearing the painful chapters of her life, they wrote Strange Weather specifically for her. This wasn't just another composition. It was a song built around her scars. From the opening notes, Strange Weather feels less like a pop song and more like an old film playing in black and white. The melody is haunting, the lyrics are filled with loneliness, and Faithfull's weathered voice gives every line a heartbreaking sense of truth. Ironically, the years that had nearly destroyed her became the very thing that made the performance unforgettable. Critics praised the album, calling it one of the strongest records of her career. Many believed her older, deeper voice carried an emotional weight that simply couldn't have existed when she was a young pop star. That's the genius of Tom Waits. He doesn't just write songs. He writes for the person singing them. He understands that sometimes a voice cracked by life can tell a story more honestly than one that's technically perfect. And Strange Weather remains one of the finest examples of that gift. Number 3. Tom Traubert's Blues, Rod Stewart. Some songs seem impossible to cover. Tom Waits' original recording of Tom Traubert's Blues is one of them. Released on his 1976 album Small Change, the song paints a vivid portrait of loneliness, heartbreak, wandering souls, and late-night streets. It's filled with unforgettable imagery and famously weaves in the traditional melody of Waltzing Matilda, creating something that feels both deeply personal and strangely universal. For years, many fans believed no one else could possibly sing it. Then Rod Stewart proved otherwise. Instead of copying Waits' gritty delivery, Stewart approached the song from a completely different angle. His unmistakable raspy voice added warmth where Waits delivered despair. Grand piano and sweeping orchestral arrangements transformed the song into something cinematic, opening it up to listeners who had never explored Tom Waits' music before. The gamble paid off. Rod Stewart's version became a major international success, reaching the charts across Europe and introducing an entirely new audience to one of Waits' most powerful compositions. It's fascinating how the same lyrics can tell two completely different stories depending on who's singing them. Waits sounded like the man living through the heartbreak. Stewart sounded like the man remembering it years later. Neither version replaces the other. Together, they prove just how timeless great songwriting can be. We're down to the final two. And these aren't just great covers. One became the biggest commercial hit ever connected to Tom Waits' songwriting. The other helped launch one of the greatest comeback stories in music history. Those incredible stories are coming up next. Number 2. Down There by the Train, Johnny Cash. By the early 1990s, Johnny Cash was at one of the lowest points of his legendary career. Country radio had largely moved on. Record labels had lost interest, and many people believed the Man in Black had already sung his last great song. Then producer Rick Rubin came along with a bold idea. Strip everything away. No flashy production. No full band. Just Johnny Cash, his guitar, and songs that meant something. Among the material Rubin was searching for was a powerful composition from Tom Waits called Down There by the Train. Waits had written the song years earlier but never found the right place for it on one of his own albums. It waited patiently until the perfect voice came along. And that voice was Johnny Cash. The lyrics tell a story of redemption. They speak of broken people, outcasts, sinners, and forgotten souls, all offered hope if they're willing to make the journey. It's a message that perfectly matched Cash's own life. He had spent decades singing about prisoners, working-class people, and those living on society's edge. When he sang Down There by the Train, it didn't feel like a performance. It felt like a confession. Cash's recording became one of the emotional highlights of his landmark American Recordings album, the release that reignited his career and introduced him to an entirely new generation of fans. Many critics consider it one of the greatest musical comebacks of all time. And hidden inside that remarkable chapter is another reminder of Tom Waits' incredible gift. He didn't simply write songs. He wrote stories that could become part of someone else's legacy. Number 1. Downtown Train, Rod Stewart. At number 1 is the Tom Waits song that reached more listeners than any other. When Tom Waits released Downtown Train on his 1985 album Rain Dogs, he knew it was different. Unlike many of his smoky jazz-inspired compositions, this one carried a soaring melody that hinted at something bigger. It was romantic, hopeful, and surprisingly accessible while still holding the poetic imagery that made Waits such a unique songwriter. Years later, Rod Stewart heard the song. He immediately recognized something many people had overlooked. Behind Tom Waits' rough, gravelly voice was a melody with enormous mainstream potential. Stewart recorded the song with polished production, dramatic instrumentation, and his signature raspy vocals. The result was extraordinary. Downtown Train climbed into the top 10 on the Billboard Hot 100, became a massive adult contemporary hit, and introduced millions of listeners to a song they never realized had been written by Tom Waits. Ironically, many people discovered Tom Waits only after hearing someone else sing his music. It's one of those rare moments where both versions are celebrated for completely different reasons. Waits gave the song mystery and longing. Stewart gave it radio-friendly emotion. Together, they proved that a truly great song can survive any arrangement, any production style, and any voice. That's the mark of exceptional songwriting. Tom Waits has never fit comfortably into the traditional image of a rock star. His voice is unconventional. His lyrics are filled with dreamers, drifters, broken hearts, forgotten streets, and characters living on the edge of society. Yet those very qualities are what make his songwriting timeless. Whether it was Rickie Lee Jones turning Rainbow Sleeves into a deeply personal memory, Marianne Faithfull finding healing through strange weather, Johnny Cash breathing new life into Down There by the Train, or Rod Stewart transforming Downtown Train into an international hit, every artist brought something unique to Tom Waits' words. And that's perhaps the greatest compliment any songwriter can receive. Their songs continue living long after they've left the page. So, which Tom Waits composition is your favorite? Do you prefer his original recordings, or do you think another artist made the song their own? Let us know in the comments below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you enjoyed this journey into one of music's greatest storytellers, don't forget to like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive into the legends behind the music. Until next time, thanks for watching Josback Stage Tales, where every song has a story, every legend leaves a legacy, and the greatest music never stops inspiring us. See you in the next one.